Hello, today I'm sowing one of my favourite crops, the chilies. I'm also sowing sweet peppers and aubergines. Now I did some preparation for this yesterday, so before I get to the sowing today, here's the footage from yesterday. Hello, tomorrow I'm planning to sow chilies, peppers and aubergines, so I'm just doing a little bit of preparation ahead of that. In front of me I have an array of small glasses. They're just filled with water, and I've already written out the variety names on these plastic labels. What I'm going to do today for the peppers and the chilies is count out the number of seeds I want to sow tomorrow and pop them into these glasses of water, hence the number of individual glasses. I've been doing that for quite a few years now, and I started that after 1 year when the seedlings popped up, well, quite a few of them popped up still with the seed leaves trapped inside a dry seed casing. Now it may be that the moisture levels that time were a little bit on the low side, but since that I've always soaked the seed prior to sowing. Now I don't know if it makes any difference to germination. It may well do, but I've never trialed side by side the soaked and unsoaked seed. But anyway, this is my habit. This is how I do it. So I'm going to soak the chilies and the pepper seeds. The aubergines, I've never bothered soaking those, so I won't do those. Now, most of these seeds are going to be sown into these 7 centimetre square pots. I quite like the square pots because they make more efficient use of the space in the propagators, and for the space they take up you get the maximum amount of compost, and that's a good size I think for starting off peppers and chilies. It gives them plenty of room to grow. If you use cell trays, which you can do, or some other medium, then you may be forced to pot them on more quickly than you might like, and with those they've got plenty of room to develop nicely in there. I will be sowing a few of the chilies into small seed trays, and I'll mention that again in a minute. So on to varieties. So for the aubergines first, I'm going to be sowing Turkish orange, which is a small round orange fruit with some green striping on it. I've never grown it before, but I understand it's got a nice sweet flavour, so I'll be very interested to see how that one turns out. I'm also going to be sowing Rosa Sfumata. Now this one we have grown before. It's a fairly large round fruit. It's white skinned with a lot of pink flushing and some darker stripes on it. Very attractive. That's an Italian variety. I don't know where Turkish orange comes from. Possibly the name might suggest it comes from Turkey, but with plant names you never really know. For sweet peppers, I've got quite a selection here this year. So I'm growing 2 sorts of large bell pepper. This is Quadrato d'Asti. I'm growing the yellow and the red variations. These are really great bell peppers. If you can get them nice and ripe, especially the yellow one, it's a really fantastic pepper, very fine flavour. I love those. All of these pepper seeds have come from Franchi Seeds of Italy, and I really like the Italian pepper varieties. I am also growing the bull's horn type, and again I'm growing a red and a yellow version, Corno Rosso and Corno Giallo. Then I've got 3 of the thinner peppers. I've grown all 3 of these at various times, but I've never grown them side by side, and it'll be interesting this year to see how they compare, and maybe that will inform some decisions on what I grow next year. So the first one is Dolce di Bergamo. So that's from Lombardy in the north of Italy, and we've also got Lombardo, which is from Lombardy. They look somewhat similar. I'm not sure which one of those is the best, and that will be the part of the purpose of growing them both side by side. And then we've got Friggitello, which is a well-known pointed pepper. So I've got 7 varieties of sweet pepper there. That's more than enough. Now with the chilies, I had intended to grow just 3 varieties. The first is hot wax. It's one of my favorite chilies. And I've got here, also from Seeds of Italy, a yellow fruited sort. Now those I've grown in the past have always ripened to red, so this one would be interesting. But as it happens, I'm probably not going to sow that one. I've got Joe's Long Cayenne. I quite like the cayenne peppers. In the kitchen, I find they've got a fairly useful heat level, not too hot, not too mild. Again, I'm probably not going to sow that one. I have here though one that I'm definitely going to sow. This is from Simpson's Seeds, and they have quite a handy collection of chilies, as well as other plants such as tomatoes. But their chili collection is quite good. And this is Gorria. That's the Basque chili pepper. Very good, fresh, and excellent when dried. I'm definitely going to be sowing that one, and I will sow that in some pots. Here's the reason I'm not going to sow those 2 straight away. I found some old seed when I was clearing out my study. Now these 4 are from Sea Spring Seeds. I honestly have no recollection of ever buying them. I'm sure I did, and maybe I was at an event somewhere where their seeds were available, but I really don't recall buying them. And these seeds are rather old. They are well past the date when I should have sown them. So I'm a little bit concerned that these might not germinate very well. I've got Hungarian hot wax. That's the regular sort that ripens to red, although usually you're taking them when they're pale green. I've got golden cayenne. I have no recollection of buying that. I assume it's rather similar to the ordinary cayenne, although it looks like it might be a little bit hotter. I've got another packet of Joe's Long, and I've got Padron, the Spanish tapas pepper. So I will be sowing all 4 of those, and because the seed is so old, I'm going to sow those in the seed trays, and I will probably put the entire packet in there. There's 20 seeds on most of these. Golden cayenne, I've got 15 seeds. I would hope from those packets that I might get a good number through. I only need 2 or 3 plants of each. So even though the seed is old, I don't need many of them, and hopefully there'll be something for me to prick out from those seed trays. If nothing happens in a couple of weeks' time, I will then go and sow the other Joe's Long and hot wax seeds that I've got. Now they're brand new seeds this year, so they're going to be fine if I keep them for next year. Anyway, all I'm going to do now is just start the process of counting out the number of seeds I need. For a lot of these, I'm going to sow 6 pots, and I will put maybe 2 or 3 seeds in each pot. These are fresh seeds, so they should germinate very well. So maybe I only need 2 per pot. I will then thin out the weakest of those seedlings, or if one of the pots is bare, I might have something to transplant into it. So hopefully at the end of this process I get 6 healthy seedlings. I'm just taking a look at those seeds, making sure that they're okay. Well, there's a grotty looking thing. I'm not sowing that. That's not going to germinate. Just checking them over and looking for decent looking seeds. Seeds of Italy are very generous in their seed packet, and in the few years that I've got to sow these before they're too old to germinate well, I'm really going to struggle to get through them, so I can be quite generous when I sow into these pots. Right, so that is plenty of seed. What variety is that? That's the Rosa d'Asti. So Literally all I'm doing is just dropping those into the water and allowing them to have a good soak. And tomorrow I shall pick those out and be sowing them. So that's all for today. So this is a new experience for me. I'm working down the greenhouse in the dark. What I'm doing here is just filling up the pots and seed trays with compost. I'm then going to give them a good water and get them into the propagator indoors, so that by the time I come to sow the seeds tomorrow, they will be nice and warm. Now, it probably wouldn't make much difference, but I'd prefer not to sow into the cold compost. The seeds are just going to sit there and sulk for a day until they've warmed up. So I hope the batteries last on my work lights, or this is going to be a very tricky and messy job. But I'll see you tomorrow. So everything's ready to go now. The pots have been in the propagator overnight, so they're nice and warm. The seeds have been soaking and everything's ready. Now my weapons of choice for this task are a chopstick and a pair of tweezers. This makes an excellent small dibber for seeds like this. And the tweezers, as long as you're gentle, they do no harm to the seeds, and it's much easier for me to pick up individual seeds with these than it is with these fat sausage fingers. I've also got a small sieve here, and that's just so I can get the seeds easily out of these little glasses. So I will start with some aubergines. Now these I haven't soaked. I've got the labels ready though, so I'll just pop those in the pots so I don't lose track of what I'm doing. I've got plenty of these seeds, more than I need. I've got 50 seeds in here. I'm only sowing 3 pots, and I think I will sow 3 seeds per pot. With fresh seed, that's maybe a bit excessive, but I've got so much here. This seed will be old long before I've sown it all. Just make sure that all of the seeds look okay, and they do. Then all I'm going to do is just gently pick them up with the tweezers and insert them into the compost. Not too far, you don't have to plant these very deep. And if you're gentle, the tweezers do absolutely no harm to the seed casing. Yes, of course, this is a somewhat fiddly way to go about sowing your seeds. And if you like, you can just distribute them on the surface of a seed tray, say, or a pot, and then cover them with compost. Absolutely fine. But I've done it this way for quite a few years now. It's a nice little job to do indoors, and when the weather's a bit rubbish outside. So what I'm going to do now is just make sure that the soil is covering the seeds and it's in good contact there. So now on to one of the peppers. So again, I'm just picking out those seeds very carefully and popping them just below the surface of the soil. I'm sure 2 seeds would be more than enough, but as I have lots of seed, I might as well make sure of it. So again, just covering the seeds, making sure that they're in good contact with the compost. And that's fine. So in the seed trays, I'm sowing some of the old chili seed. That's because I'm really not so confident about germination with these. So for these, I'll just make some small holes. Well, I suppose there are much faster ways to sow, but this is the way I've been doing my chilies and peppers for years, and it's a nice little job if you're not in a hurry. Right, I shall get these back into the propagator. So here's a view of the propagator, now filled with chilies, peppers and aubergines. Hopefully I'll be seeing some signs of life within the next couple of weeks. But for now, this job is done, so it's goodbye from me.